All right, good morning. My name is Chasen Ishii, Chairperson of the Authority. I'd like to call to order the September 6, 2023 public hearing of the Hawaii Community Development Authority. And the time is now 9:54.
Thank you, Chair. In accordance with Section 92-3.7 Hawaii Revised Statutes, the Hawaii Community Development Authority is holding today's public hearing both virtually on Zoom and in person. The Zoom link details are included in the public hearing notice. Therefore, members of the public are welcome to join us on Zoom or at the physical meeting site at the American Brewery Building 547 Queen Street, second floor boardroom, Honolulu, Hawaii 96813. The HCDA communication staff is hosting the Zoom portion of the hearing. Once this public hearing begins, everyone will be muted for clearer audio. Board members, if you have any comments or questions, please unmute yourselves to speak. It is important that all individuals clearly state their name each time prior to speaking. This is a public, in-person, and virtual public hearing. So to prevent any distractions, if you are attending virtually and you are not a board member, staff member, or HCDA's Attorney General, please turn off your video during the meeting. If you are providing verbal public testimony, your name will be called accordingly. If you're attending in person, when your name is called, please come to the front of the room. And if you're attending virtually, please turn your video on only while you are providing your testimony. In either case, please clearly state your name and affiliation and proceed with your testimony. In accordance with Section 92-3.7 C Hawaii Revised Statutes, if your authority's connection for the remote meeting is lost, the hearing will be recessed until the connection is restored. If the connection cannot be restored within 30 minutes, the hearing will be reconvened tomorrow at 9 a.m. at the same physical location and virtual Zoom link as today's hearing. Thank you, Chair.
Let the record reflect the following Kaka'ako members are present. Vice Chair Higa. Present. Member Apo.
Present.
Member Miranda Johnson.
Present.
Member Anderson. Excused. Member Hirai.
Present.
Member Wicker.
Present.
Member Sakura.
Present.
Thank you. Would the counsel for the applicant now please make your appearance at this time?
Thank you. Good morning, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the authority, Curtis Tabata and Benjamin Matsubara, hearing of the applicant, Coral Acquisitions LLC. Also present for the applicant, sitting behind me is Rick Staff, Executive Vice President. Sitting to my right is William Chen, our Vice President. And manning our computer over there is Daniel Simonich, our Director of Development. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Thank you. Legal basis and purpose. Today's hearing on development permit number KAK 22-055 is being held in accordance with Hawaii Revised Statutes, Section 206E-5.6, Hawaii Administrative Rules, Chapter 15-209, and the vested Hawaii Administrative Rules, Chapter 15-22. The nature of today's public hearing is to allow the applicant, Coral Acquisition LLC, to present the proposed project and to provide the general public with the opportunity to present oral and or written testimony. The applicant is Coral Acquisition LLC. The development permit number is KAK 22-05055. The application is Land Block G, Kaliu, tax map key 12-1-055, parcel 001. 002, 018, 032, 033, 034, and 035. Project location is 728 Alamana Boulevard, Honolulu, Hawaii 96813. The project description. The request before us is for a development permit application dated July 25th, 2023, proposing to build a single tower, 294-unit residential mixed-use condominium called the project. The proposed project consists of a single condominium tower located on a 65-foot high parking and mixed-use podium and ground floor commercial retail space located on a lot bound by Alamana Boulevard, Cook Street, Hawaii Street, and Coral Street. On the ground level, the project will include approximately 11,660 square feet of open space and approximately 39,592 square feet of recreational space with amenities. A total of approximately 687 parking stalls will be located in the approximately 65-foot high parking podium. Residential and commercial loading areas and public bicycle parking are proposed as part of the project. In conjunction with this development permit, the applicant is also requesting the following modification from the vested Kakako bulk area rules, collectively referred to as the modification request. Modification of the height of the parking and mixed-use podium from 45 to 65 feet, and an additional 12 feet for accessory use structures having a total area of less than 15% of the parking mixed-use podium roof area, and an additional 18 feet for structures that will house elevator machinery on the parking and mixed-use podium roof. The applicant will be making a presentation at a separate public hearing for the modifications tomorrow, Thursday, September 7th, 2023 at 9 a.m. Legal notice. A public hearing notice was published in the Honolulu Star Advertiser, Maui News, the Garden Isle, Hawaii Tribune Herald, and West Hawaii Today on Wednesday, August 2nd, 2023. Chair.
Thank you. Procedures for this hearing. Let me briefly explain our procedures for today's public hearing. HCDA staff will present its report summarizing the development permit application. Following that presentation, we will receive the presentation of the applicant and then testimony from the public. Only members of the HCDA authority and the executive director will be permitted to ask questions of the staff, applicant, intervener, or individuals providing testimony. I'll be acting as presiding officer of this hearing. Are there any questions to these proceedings? First, in accordance with HAR 15-219-49, interested persons were provided an opportunity to intervene to participate as a party in this hearing by submitting a written request to HCDA by 4:30 p.m. on Wednesday, August 22nd, 2023. For the record, there were no such motions to intervene received by HCDA for the Block G Kaliu project. We will now begin our proceedings. HCDA's Director of Planning and Development, Brian Tam, will now present the staff's report. Brian?
Aloha, Chair Ishii and board members. Again, the staff report is in your packet and was uploaded for public review. In the interest of time, I will summarize it and highlight a few key points. First, acknowledging the hard work of Ms. Sari Bahanu and the rest of the staff. Again, the applicant was deemed complete on August 2nd, 2023, and will automatically be approved on January 9th, 2024, if no action is taken before then. Again, we received no request for intervention after the public hearing notices were mailed out on August 2nd. As we know, the proposed project is part of the Kaia'u o Kakako master plan. Section 4, starting on page 2 of the staff report, does provide background on the master plan, which is valid until September 1st, 2034. Again, section 5, the State Historic Preservation Division, the applicant has complied with section 60-42. We did receive a late comment from the Honolulu Fire Department, just to note that. Starting on page 7 of the staff report, regarding the lot area. Again, we did want to note that as per the land survey map prepared for the project, the lot area is 104,542 square feet. And Lana Lane is 5,608 square feet. This does differ from the master plan and the permit application materials, which stated that the total lot area was 105,223 and 105,220 square feet respectively. Again, note that the This area is zoned for a mixed use zone with commercial emphasis. And that no more than 60% of the floor area is to be placed in commercial use. Again, the applicant is proposing that 9% of the floor area will be in commercial use. Podium height modifications will be discussed at tomorrow's hearing. Starting on page 9, noting that the land block F and land block G are being proposed to be jointly developed, and that they are transferring 18,000 square feet from block F for combined floor area ratio of 2.64. Regarding open space on page 11, they will be providing approximately 11,660 square feet of open space on site at ground level. This is more than the required 10,522 square feet, but is less than the 14,000 square feet proposed under the 2021 master plan amendment. On page 14, regarding building orientation, tower spacing, and circulation, the Malchus short side of the proposed tower is not separated by a distance of at least 200 square feet from the adjacent tower. Regarding reserve housing, page 16, the 74 units of reserve housing will be met by the credit from community schools. Did want to note that the commitment schools use the Pagoda Rycroft Terrace, which is providing 162 units, but was only given credit for 100 reserve housing units at that time. Regarding circulation, page 19, the staff had requested that the applicant eliminate one driveway on Coral Street. This was not, I think the applicant did look at it, but they were unable to do so. Regarding landscaping on page 24, most of the planned trees are small and do not have a large canopy. We do know that canopy trees do help to create shade and are one way to address the heat impacts associated with climate change. Also regarding the consistency with the master plan, the landscape corner at the corner of Cook and Almwana Boulevard is not active and is inconsistent with the vision of the master plan. And staff are suggesting that it be redesigned and activated like a corner plaza. The applicant did not provide liners along Coral Street at ground level, and there are no liners at the upper levels of the podium structure. And staff are specifying that vegetative screening be used to soften the effects of the parking structure. And again, lastly, there are no active uses along most of Almwana Boulevard. Finally, with regards to sustainability, climate change, and sea level rise, we note that this project is in zone AE, which is a 100-year special flood hazard area. The base flood elevations are 5 to 6 feet. The proposed finished floor elevation of level 1 of the project is at 6.25 feet. So the finished floor is being raised approximately 1 foot 9 inches above the existing grade. So the finished floor is above the base flood elevation, which is also above the projected sea level rise, and the project is not anticipated to be impacted by the 3.2 foot sea level rise. The project is conforming to City and County of Honolulu building codes, which includes consideration of low impact development and site drainage. The drainage pattern is anticipated to be maintained at the present peak volume and rate. Finally, Kaliu Kakako Master Plan, on page 67 does recognize the at-grade transitions, from adjacent flood zones will need to be considered in the streetscape and project design. And that these transitions are being, considered. Also, the applicant is looking at energy efficiency and green building measures. Again, that completes my staff report, subject to your questions.
Members, are there any questions in regards to the staff report? Question? If none, then we'll proceed with receipt of exhibits for the record, introduction of the parties and receipts of exhibits to the record. Will counsel for the applicant, please describe your exhibits that you wish to have admitted for the record.
Thank you, Chair. The applicant requests that the following, well, the exhibits 1 through 13 be admitted into evidence. Our exhibits include the application and supporting documents, the certification, the notification to owners and lessees of record, our written testimony of our witnesses, our witness list, and our Block G land area calculation. We requested exhibits 1 through 13, please be admitted to evidence.
Thank you. Members, do you have any objections to the exhibits being offered by the applicant? Does the executive director have any objections to the exhibits being offered by the applicant?
No objections, Chair.
Hearing no objections, the applicant's exhibits 1 through 13 are admitted to the record. Will you be establishing any of your witnesses as experts in the subject area?
Yes, Chair.
If so, please make your presentation at this time.
Thank you. The applicant requests that the following witnesses be admitted as experts in their respective fields. They are Daniel Simonich in urban planning, Terry Clifford in architecture, Russell Chung, landscape architecture and streetscape design, Glenn Kuwaye, civil engineering, Kathy Leong, traffic engineering, Mara Mulrooney, archaeology, and Lani Ma'alapilio in Hawaiian culture, history, and language.
Members, do you have any objections to the qualification or expert witnesses offered by the applicant? Does the executive director have any objections to the expert witnesses offered by the applicant?
No objections, Chair.
Hearing no objections, the list of experts offered by the applicant is hereby accepted and qualified in their various subject areas. With the receipt of all exhibits and list of experts being entered into the record, let us proceed with our hearing. Thank you. You may now call your first witness.
Thank you, Chair. Our first witness is William Chen.
Mr. Chen, please raise your right hand. Do you swear to affirm that the testimony that you're providing is the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Will, can you please just give us your presentation?
Aloha Chair Ishii and members, all board members of the Hawaii Community Development Authority. My name is William Chen, and I am the Vice President of Postpac Holdings Group and Coral Acquisition LLC. Mahalo for having us for this presentation, and thank you to the staff for reviewing our application and preparing for today's meeting. It's been our honor to create more housing in Honolulu and support HCDA's mission. Our team is here to share who we are as the applicant, our development history, and our role in Kamehameha School's Kaia'ulu o Kakako Master Plan, and details about our proposed project, Kaliu, on Block G. Postpac was established in Hawaii in 2016. Our team has over 20 years of local real estate development experience with multiple high-rise mixed-use projects in Kaka'ako and Ala Moana. We bring extensive expertise in urban planning, investments, and real estate. Our focus is to provide quality homes for our island, and we reinvest in our community through our corporate giving and support for local organizations. To date, we have given more than 200,000 to support local nonprofits. Our most recent building, Azure Ala Moana, was one of the first approved transit-oriented development project in Ala Moana area. Similar to our plan for Kaliu, Azure is a mixed-use residential and commercial development. It provided significant community benefit and catalyzed the neighborhood's TOD plan. Azure produced 408 residences, including 78 affordable rentals for residents earning less than 80% of the AMI. We're proud to say that more than 60% of our buyers were local. Azure also includes approximately 20,000 square feet of commercial space. Our development team ensured that Azure was successfully completed on schedule and on budget, despite many impacts from the pandemic. Kaliu is the name of our proposed project on Block G. It is a 400-foot residential building with a 6-floor parking podium and 33 floors of residences. Our cultural expert helped us choose the name Kaliu to honor the cultural and historic significance of this region, which was once salt basin. The name Kaliu means well-seasoned. Through our project, we envision residential, commercial, and community spaces supporting wellness for Kaka'ako. Postpac Holdings Group and its special designated development entity, Coral Acquisition LLC, have been selected by the landowner, Kamehameha Schools, to be the development partner for Block G. Kaliu fronts Ala Moana Boulevard on the Diamond Head side of Salt Retail Complex. The project contributes to Kamehameha School's vision for a livable urban village by one, bringing much needed housing in close proximity of our business district, and two, enhancing an increasingly thriving commercial district. Our team today will share greater details about Kaliu, but here are a few important features. Kaliu includes a mix of 1, 2, and 3-bedroom homes for sale at market rate. It complements housing on surrounding blocks of the master plan, which includes rental apartments, townhouses, and lofts. It has nearly 42,000 square feet of commercial space on ground floor, including a space we hope to fill with a much needed grocery tenant to improve food access and options for the surrounding Kaka'ako neighborhood. In addition to shopping and restaurants, we're helping to meet the community's vision for convenient, safe, accessible transportation. Kaliu will provide bicycle parking for visitors and residents, pedestrian walkways, parking stalls, and a close proximity to public transit. Our schedule anticipates development permit approval from HCDA by fourth quarter of this year. Upon securing approval, we would like to launch sales in the first quarter of 2024. Construction will begin in the last quarter of the same year, with target completion and occupancy in 2026. I humbly thank you again for your time and consideration, and I would like to introduce my colleague Daniel Simonich to share with you about Kaliu's compliance, community benefits, and economic impacts.
Daniel. Call your next witness.
Our next witness is Daniel Simonich. Please proceed, Daniel.
Please raise your right hand. Swear you in. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you'll be providing is the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Proceed.
Good morning, Chair, board members, and HCDA staff. My name is Daniel Simonich, and I'm Director of Development at PROSPAC Holdings Group. I will be giving more context of the master plan and the relationship of the project to surrounding blocks, and more details of the planning concepts and rules as they relate to the proposed development, including community benefits, public facilities, reserved housing, climate resilience, and economic impacts. The proposed project is located in the Pauahi neighborhood of Kaka'ako, which has become known as our Kaka'ako, and has transformed what was once an underutilized light industrial neighborhood with minimal pedestrian activity to now becoming a vibrant mixed-use community where people live, work, and play. The proposed project is part of the Kaliu o Kaka'ako Master Plan, also referred to as the KKMP, which is the product of significant stakeholder and community engagement, consultation, and public outreach. The KKMP planned for phase development with an initial first phase or increment 1 that included blocks A, B, E, and F to be implemented as a catalyst to re-energize the Mauka neighborhood. The proposed Kaliu project on block G is an important link between the first phase and the second phases of the KKMP. It is helpful to briefly highlight how the completed first phase relates to the proposed Kaliu project on block G as part of the second phase. The completed developments in the first phase, increment 1, have established key strategies and standards for the master plan, and also addressed some requirements which transfer across to the second phase with increment 2. The 2021 master plan amendment described the contributions of the increment 1 developments as providing the neighborhood with over 1,300 new residential units, of which about 34% are reserved housing units, approximately 184,000 square feet of commercial space, and approximately 65,000 square feet of open space. As a result of the completed developments and early contributions toward reserved housing and park space, there is a banked surplus of credits that can be transferred to other blocks in the second phase of the master plan. Transitioning from increment 1 and increment 2 phases of the master plan, block F is located immediately adjacent to the proposed Kaliu project on block G. Improvements to block F, SALT at our Kaka'ako, were started in 2013, early during the increment 1 first phase, with a strategy for adaptive reuse rather than redevelopment. Renovations of the existing structures considered sustainable construction methods, preservation of Kaka'ako's industrial character, and has served to become a central destination for dining, shopping, and pop-up events during development of the surrounding first phase on land blocks. The 2021 master plan amendment addresses the joint development of blocks F and G as one development block and allows for the transfer of floor area from block F to other blocks within the master plan, provided that density does not exceed the maximum permitted floor area ratio and in compliance with the 2005 Mauka area plan authorities. The 2021 master plan amendment approved joint developments of blocks F and G subject to further approval by HCDA at the plan development permit stage. The Kaliu project on block G as a joint development with block F proposes a combined 2.64 floor area ratio. It complies with the 2005 vested rules, which sets a maximum of 3.5 floor area ratio for plan development on lots of 80,000 or more square feet. A survey of land parcels confirms a total of 104,542 square feet land area of block G parcels, including Lana Lane. A floor area transfer of 112,454 square feet from block F to block G, in addition to the allowed block G floor area of 365,897 square feet, results in a total of 478,351 square feet of floor area for the block G site. A land area survey and table were submitted as an exhibit to clarify the allowable and transferred floor area for the block G site. Kaliu project will contribute toward realizing many of the planning concepts and strategies proposed in the master plan, further revitalizing the area into a vibrant neighborhood with multiple elements that offer significant benefits to the Kaka'ako community, including unique retailers, restaurants, and a variety of local serving businesses and possibly grocery, connecting parkways from Malcolm to Mackay and seamlessly linking to adjacent plazas. and accessible and active pedestrian experiences with multimodal options and complete streets for everyone to easily get around and find spaces to gather together. With retail corridor along Oahe Street, a continuous retail frontage on the Kaliu project site extends from nearby developments completed during the first phase and planned as part of the second phase, and serves as a cohesive and attractive pedestrian experience. Storefronts are designed with sidewalk awnings, outdoor dining, seating, landscaping, bike racks, and public art. The project is planning for a possible anchor grocery tenant, which would improve food access and options for future residents at Kaliu as well as the surrounding Kaka'ako community. The master plan describes enhanced streetscapes along Oahe and Cook Street to improve walkability on landscaped, tree-lined sidewalks and retail opportunities that unify the neighborhood along these major crossroads. A park-to-park promenade at the Block G project site intersecting the Oahe Street retail corridor is another major component envisioned in the KKMP, which is a prominent linear park promenade along Cook Street. Canopy trees line a continuous promenade on Cook Street, which extends Malcolm Mackay to connect to the nearby Mother Waldron Park and Kaka'ako Gateway Park. This landscape streetscape will increase park connectivity and pedestrian circulation throughout the second phase of the master plan, as well as the larger Kaka'ako community. The Cook Street Promenade distributes new open space across the neighborhood for shared community gatherings. With a Pico and plazas at Cook and Oahe Street, the Kaliu project is centrally situated in the master plan and part of the second phase at the corner of Oahe and Cook Streets. The master plan describes this as the heart of the crossroads, as an important community gathering place to be programmed with a range of activities and events, easily walkable within most places of the neighborhood. At the proposed project site, the master plan describes that from this node radiates the neighborhood's main retail corridor along Oahe Street and the park-to-park pedestrian promenade along Cook Street. Planned plazas at adjacent Block C and Block D will form central gathering places adjacent to the Cook and Oahe Street intersection. Planned offsite improvements adjacent to the proposed project site include a future raised intersection at Oahe and Cook Street. The completion of the first phase of the master plan has already delivered many community benefits early and in excess of what would have been the minimum required with each incremental development. Consequently, from the master plan, there is a banked surplus of credits earned that are available for satisfying some of the public facilities and reserved housing requirements on other blocks such as Block G. The 2005 Malka Area Plan and Rules envision public facility dedication requirements to contribute to necessary district-wide improvements, including pedestrian ways. The 2009 Master Plan provides that development projects implemented under the KKMP may use public facility dedication credits. The Kaliu project has a requirement to provide 18,656 square feet of public facilities, calculated based on the proposed commercial and residential floor areas. The project proposes to satisfy public facility dedication requirements with a combination of credits as well as the park-to-park promenade along Cook Street, providing on-site approximately 11,813 square feet of landscape pedestrian-oriented promenade, which will be maintained and accessible to the public. With prior projects that have been completed in the first phase, as well as park dedications, which include Polulani Development, Mackay Gateway Park, and Mother Waldron Park, the total public facility commitments to date exceed the amount required under the vested rules, which serves as a credit for future projects. Consistent with the master plan and adjusted accordingly with prior projects, after satisfying the public facility dedication requirement for Kaliu, there will remain available approximately 27,894 credits to satisfy future public facility dedication requirements for other projects in the master plan. The 2005 Malka Area Plan and Vested Rules envisioned reserved housing requirements to meet the needs of targeted income households. The 2009 Master Plan established a reserved housing credit process that encouraged the delivery of reserved housing in advance of construction of market housing, where if more reserved housing was constructed for any planned development than required for that project, the reserved housing credits could be used to satisfy future reserved housing requirements. The prioritized delivery of reserved housing and the banked credits has contributed to significant affordable housing benefits in Kaka'ako to local families prior to the completion of additional market housing. The Kaliu project proposes approximately 294 homes with a mix of 1, 2, and 3 bedroom unit types for sale at market rate. The Kaliu project, along with other development in the master plan and across Kaka'ako, provides a balanced and diverse range of new housing supply that contributes to a mixed income neighborhood. The Kaliu project has a requirement to provide 74 reserved housing calculated based on the number of proposed residential units. Consistent with the master plan and adjusted accordingly with prior projects, after satisfying the reserved housing requirement for Kaliu, there will remain available approximately 147 reserved housing unit credits to satisfy future reserved housing requirements for other projects in the master plan. Kaliu has been planned with consideration of the impacts of climate change and sea level rise as a climate resilient development. Designing for the capacity to cope and manage the impacts of climate change and sea level rise, the project site is planned to be raised to mitigate future flooding in compliance with the base flood elevation of 6 feet, which will be above the projected 3.2 foot sea level rise increase by incorporating a proposed partial elevated sidewalk and raised ground floor. The project will implement best management practices for stormwater management to minimize runoff with on-site management of water from rain and flooding. On-site generation of electrical power through rooftop photovoltaic and also backup generator mitigates potential disruption to the area's energy grid. And also consistent with the 2021 amendment to the KKMP, landscape areas and shade trees not only beautify and contribute to a sense of place, but they also serve to mitigate the effects of urban heat island effect, absorbing stormwater and also improving air quality and increasing carbon sequestration. The Kaliu project, along with other planned developments in the increment 2 phase of the KKMP, will provide significant economic benefits for our state, city, and community. The project will add to new housing supply, job creation, taxes, retail sales, and ongoing building operations and maintenance. As presented in the 2021 KKMP amendment, the economic impact for the implementation of the second increment phase developments is estimated in present value to generate significant economic impact for both development activities as well as the ongoing operations and maintenance. Modification of vested rules is requested for the height of the mixed use and parking podium. More information about the modification request will be presented during tomorrow's scheduled hearing. And just lastly, to address a few raised points in the staff report and the director's presentation, we do want to note that for the canopy trees that were selected, it was based on the requirements of the Nauka area rules. And of course, we're open to considering other trees that provide canopy and shade. Additionally, just responding to the comment about Cook Street landscaping, specifically at the Ala Moana Cook Street intersection, and the suggestion for a plaza. The Ala Moana corner that's been being proposed meets the requirements of the KKMP park-to-park connection. Public corner plazas are planned for Block D and C along Cook Street, and a corner plaza at the Ala Moana Boulevard intersection is not recommended. That concludes my presentation, and I'm available for any questions before the next witness continues presentation of additional project information.
Members or executive director, do you have any questions for this witness? I have a question. So it seems like you're going to be utilizing or considering a park promenade as part of your open space. Is there any thoughts of improving or revitalizing the Mother Waldred Park or the Makai Gateway as well as part of this process?
That's a great question. I think the master plan really sees these gateway parks and the promenade that connects between the two as sort of this continuous area that really can activate and create the circulation. The project, what's being proposed on site, is one first part of making that connection that will continue along the adjacent site. So hopefully what's being proposed on site is a contribution towards the further activation and use of these adjacent
public parks.
Yeah, the activation, lighting and a little bit more security out there, I think would go a long way if you're gonna revitalize that sector.
Yeah.
I think that should be also considered. Another question I had was, you talked about, the potential anchor of the commercial area being a grocery tenant. How are you gonna address the parking situation, having a retail grocer?
Sure, yeah. The parking layout for the project being proposed considers separation of the uses for both the commercial space as well as the residential space. And certainly that was considered as well in the design, specifically thinking through an anchor grocer tenant, and sort of the delivery and loading needs, having separate loading areas. It's really important for the sort of function of both the commercial and residential uses as part of a mixed use project.
So my assumption is staff is also taking into consideration the traffic flow as far as these particular loading docks, loading areas as well.
Yes.
Other questions from any of the other members?
I do. It's Kevin Sakota. Hi, Daniel. I just want your expertise, I guess, or comments on it. But one of the things we're seeing in the Kaka'ako area is essentially a loss of appetite to insure some of the buildings' property policies. And it's not necessarily a concern after the buildings are sold, but for the people who are purchasing the condominiums or living there, property insurance has increased quite a bit over the last couple years. And going forward, it seems to be a bigger issue. And I kind of want your advice on how, the HCDA should think about that in terms of the number of buildings going up and the appetite for the insurers to actually absorb that risk.
Yeah, thank you, member. That's a great question. It's a really complex one. Of course, insurance is really a global issue. I'm not an insurance expert, so I don't know if I can give advice on necessarily from a regulating kind of a point of view, what more could be done. I know it's definitely something that's affecting a lot of planned projects as well as existing projects.
Does that answer your question, Member Scota?
Not really, but I understand it's a difficult question. Is there anything going into the construction of the buildings or issues that you are faced with kind of in meeting sort of appropriate insurance levels or levels of construction, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, there's insurance coverage that starts from before the point of construction and carries through during the warranty period as well. Eventually, there's a turnover where the owners are responsible for carrying their own coverage, but during the pre-development development phases, the developer, the applicant, has some responsibility to maintain certain coverages.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions for this witness?
Chair, Dane Wicker.
Yes, Member Wicker.
So can you clarify then on the credits? We're not increasing any inventory for affordable housing on this with this project. It's just going to use credits to satisfy that. And then what rate is the project being sold at? Market rate or AMI?
Yep, that's a great question. Thank you, member. This project's proposing to satisfy the reserved housing requirement with the use of available credits as part of the master plan. I think what this project is accomplishing is providing additional housing stock in an area that's intended for smart growth and higher density. This project, as providing mixed market rate units, different sizes and different types, adds to sort of this balancing of a really diverse neighborhood of housing that complements affordable housing on adjacent sites that were provided to create these credits.
But we're not increasing affordable housing rates. What we're doing is we're doing a market rate at whatever that market determines, which is a huge discrepancy from affordable housing rates. So not even one new unit going to market.
You're correct. So this project is proposing market rate housing, and using these credits. I think to the credit of, the master plan, it's important to recognize that these credits were created through the generation of affordable housing that was more than what was required early and in excess of what the requirement was.
I follow you on that, but generations later, we're in a housing crisis. And we should reconsider and look at what the needs are and balance that out. We have other projects coming before us that are adhering to the rules with putting units in the affordable, whether it's 20% or more. And looking at this project, not even 1%. Is that something that hasn't been considered when you guys penciled this out?
Yeah, well, certainly. So that the project proposing market rate housing still fulfills, and helps to serve the high demand we have for housing of all types.
High demand, higher class buyer. What about the working class?
Understand this is an important issue, and we acknowledge that we need a lot of housing at all types.
Exactly. So why not the affordable housing percentage of all types?
Again, this project's being proposed as part of a master
I
plan.
get it. Thank you. I get it. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Wicker. You know, I had a question on that as well. I know I see you utilizing credits from a whole different, to me, a very different district, a different area, which is the pagoda, right? I mean, and I understand that it allows it, but it just seems very difficult for me to accept when you're taking credits from like a pagoda hotel and applying it to a project in what I consider mainstream Kaka'ako. And go ahead.
Yeah, I think my understanding of how the credits work is that they're pooled. So it's not necessarily one credit from one project is applied to another project.
No, I understand
The
that.
affordable housing that's all across the first phase contributes to this pool of credits, as well, including some of the credits that were created through the Pagoda project. So I don't know that a credit from the Pagoda is satisfying the requirements for this project any more than a credit from Keo Lane or the flats at Kualani, or even 680 right across the street on Block F is part of this direct development.
No, I understand. I'm just looking at it from a perspective of practicality. You know, from a pooling perspective, right? It's almost like you can go into different sectors and pool from different projects for something I think is a little bit more mainstream. And that's just my comment.
Chair, if I may, again, my understanding is that the reserve housing that's worked out as part of the master plan, so again, that was, I guess, an agreement that was worked out between the agency and the community of schools, the developer of the master plan, to for the reserve housing units in that development to be applied to the credit to the master plan as a whole. So again, it's going to the district, this area.
And I think we all understand that the way it's pooled is possible. I think we're looking at what's the need at this point.
And I guess similarly, when we look at, and two things, I think, and when I was going through the application, I was and looking at the history of this, it's interesting that, yeah, they actually bought 160 units. We gave them, the agency, the authority gave them credit for 100 units. So I thought that was interesting. Similarly, when we look at the Howard Hughes developments, they chose to do, they developed a new building, Lana, on site, within their district, but they're using the credits from that building to apply to the different developments as they come up. So it's kind of a similar concept, except there's this on site and not off site.
Yeah, Chair, if I can just add to kind of bring this all together. I think with respect to reserve housing, I understand what Member Wicker is saying. but the rules allow the reserve housing to be satisfied, the requirement to be satisfied, I believe, either in that particular project, so it could be in this Kaliu project, or it could be satisfied somewhere else in the district, or I think it can be satisfied outside the district, like in, for example, the pagoda. So I think what has happened is Kamehameha Schools has produced an excess of reserved housing units and are giving prospect credit for the reserve housing projects that should have been built on this site. That's outside, much like Ulana is for Howard Hughes. So if I can just add that perspective.
Sure, Matt.
Yes.
Yeah, I just want to add in, and I know that this may not be the appropriate venue, but I think we do have to just sort of say it out loud. You know, for context, this master plan was first adopted in 2008, and all of the development was supposed to be completed this year. So there's already a history of delay within this master plan. Now, for perspective, in 2008, I was still in high school, and I missed all of the HCDA board meetings between then and last year. So I'm not really qualified to point fingers and assign blame, but I have to express some real concerns, and I think this board and this agency have to offer help to Kamehameha Schools to ensure that housing is delivered in a timely manner. Now, there's one big thing that I think is the elephant in the room, and the 2021 amendment is not going to go far enough, and that is when that master plan amendment was adopted in 2021, interest rates were near record lows. We are not in the same interest rate environment. So if there's an assumption that the existing reserved housing requirements of HCDA are going to work in this new environment, I think we have to just throw that out the window and look at the actual rules. So not necessarily for this hearing and for the people in this room, I understand this is a bigger conversation that Kamehameha Schools should have with this agency and with this board, but we should figure out, what does KS need from this board to accelerate the development of housing in this master plan? Because in my opinion, the primary role of HCDA is to deliver urban redevelopment, especially the development of housing in the urban core. And Kamehameha Schools, the last time we did this, 15 years, failed to deliver the housing it promised. So rather than just saying the rules are the rules and we have to keep them, I think we should have a conversation, sit down and figure out, what does KS need to deliver the housing timely? Do we have to revise the reserved housing requirements? Do we have to change the inclusionary zoning policy? Maybe. Do we have to go back and look at chapter 15, subtitle 4? Do we have to think about the workforce housing requirements that we had prior to rule changes? Let's figure out how we can make this better. And I understand this is not relevant to this project, but like, the reason I think this project is market rate is because if you look at interest rates today, it's going to be more and more difficult for any developer to pencil out workforce housing and affordable housing. So if the rules are holding back the developer from doing what they're supposed to be doing, which I think is delivering more workforce, more affordable housing, that's on us as a board and as an agency to revise those rules appropriately. So just wanted to offer that there in a spirit of collaboration, not to say, KS is bad for this project, but let's figure out what needs to be done so we can deliver affordable housing.
Thank you, Vice Chair.
If I may.
Executive Director Laporte.
So I appreciate the comments, Member Higa, in 2008, 2009, I wasn't in high school. I was actually at HCDA when the master plan was adopted. So I sort of saw, some of the progression of the master plan while I was at HCDA and then following it a little bit later, even though I wasn't. So I think there's, certain things that might be in control of the developer in terms of building housing. I also believe that there are other factors like market factors that, kind of govern, the development under the master plans. And I would note that, in the early years of the master plan, there was a time when there was, very little being built, I think because of market forces and other factors that just didn't allow it. And then the last thing I think is, KS, Kamehameha Schools and Howard Hughes, are vested under the 2005 rules. So it's pretty fixed in terms of what they need, what they can or are obligated to do. Going forward, however, in future rule, revisions and amendments, we can certainly look at, I think, at the requirements of the 20%. Is that still reasonable? What can we do as an agency? I will say that in past years, I think we've tried to amend, the reserve housing requirements. I think it's gonna require a lot of community engagement with landowners and developers. The concern I have, this big picture policy issues, we can say 20% is not enough, and maybe it should be 50%. But there's gotta be a balance, because maybe at 20, I think it's not enough, but then at 50, maybe we don't get any housing developed. So there's all that kind of balancing number, Ego. So I just want to put into context where somebody that was around in 2009 and was at HCDA, if I can add that context, but I take your comments to heart. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Any other questions for this witness? No, thank you. You may call your next witness.
Thank you. Applicant's next witness is Terry Clifford.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you'll be providing is the truth? Please proceed.
Please proceed.
Good morning, Chair, board members, and HCDA staff. My name is Terry Clifford. I am a senior associate and architect with Design Partners Incorporated. I will be presenting to you the proposed design for this project. Design Partners was hired by ProSPAC Holdings Group to engineer and design a mixed-use high-rise project located on Block G in Kaka'ako. Design Partners has been in business for 44 years. Our office currently has a full-time staff of about 100 professionals. We specialize in architecture, programming, entitlement processing, master planning, concept development, interior architecture, construction administration, and construction management services. We also cover a broad range of project types for both public and private sector clients, ranging from planning and design of multifamily and high-rise residential, resort residential, affordable housing, hospitality, commercial, educational, industrial, and institutional projects. The following are samples of previous high-rise projects by Design Partners completed in the last 10 years. Recently completed are Waihanua, completed in 2015, The Collection, completed in 2016, Kapiolani Residence, completed in 2018, The Central, completed in 2021, and Azure Ala Moana, completed in 2021. Currently under construction is Sky Ala Moana, to be completed this year, the Park on Keamoku, to be completed in 2025, and Kahaku by Hilton Grand Vacations Resort, to be completed in 2026. I will now go over the design for the Kaliu project. This is a site plan for the Kaliu project. The project site is located in Kaka'ako and bounded by Ala Moana Boulevard, which is at the bottom of the slide, Cook Street to the right, Oahe Street to the top, and Coral Street to the left. The site is 2.42 acres. This development is proposed to be a mixed-use high-rise condominium project. It consists of approximately 42,000 square feet of retail, shown in blue on the site plan, and about 436,000 square feet of residential area located in the tower above. It includes 294 for-sale residential apartment units. The entry to the tower is located at the Porte Cochere off of Cook Street on the corner of Cook and Ala Moana, shown in yellow. All parking is accessed from Coral Street for a total of about 680 stalls. That includes a little more than 500 residential stalls, 30 guest stalls, and about 140 commercial stalls. Parking is located in the podium from levels 2 through 5. There are also two separate loading zone areas, one for the residential and the other for commercial, shown in green off of Coral Street. The current sustainable measures that are planned for the project are photovoltaics to offset a portion of the energy costs of the common areas of the building, Energy Star appliances, low flow plumbing fixtures, electric vehicle or EV ready infrastructure, a recycling program, and LED lighting. The amenity deck is located on the 6th level of the podium at nearly 40,000 square feet. That includes indoor and outdoor recreation areas. It includes the following: a multi-purpose room with indoor dining and prep kitchen, indoor residential lounge, outdoor residential lounge, infinity edge swimming pool and hot tub, barbecue grills, 4 pavilions for dining, 3 large open lawn areas, spa area that includes a steam room, sauna, massage room, and hot tubs, 2 guest rooms, a theater, a music room, a fitness center, a pickleball court, and a dog park. The following images are enlarged pedestrian zone plans that show more detail of each street frontage, followed by renderings along each street to illustrate the design intent. This is Ala Moana Street frontage. Back one slide. This is the Ala Moana Street frontage. The podium is set back 40 feet from the property line to conform with the HCDA view corridor and podium setback requirements. We include a pedestrian walkway adjacent to the landscape curbside that is more than 8 feet wide. There is also a second pedestrian walkway along this street side that is bounded by sections of landscape strips on either side. This enhances the active pedestrian experience along this street frontage by walking between the landscape and along and under trees. Points of interest such as art sculptures and or benches shall be incorporated to activate this side of the block. Next. This image is a view along Ala Moana Boulevard towards Diamond Head. The landscape along Ala Moana is similar to the collection located 2 blocks ever of the project site. We have used similar types of landscaping and sculptures to provide active pedestrian experience and continuity along Ala Moana Boulevard. The lush landscape pedestrian path will also aid in framing the frontage of our building along this street front. Next. The Cook Street side of the project shall serve as a park-to-park connection from Mother Waldron Park to the Mackay Gateway Park. That will include a shady pedestrian walkway under large canopy trees along the street side, creating a park-like setting. There will be a raised deck along the commercial frontage from the Mauka corner to the porte-cochere of our project site, and will include umbrella tables and chairs for customers and visitors to sit and enjoy their meal or snack from the retail in the area. The porte-cochere is located at the Mackay corner of Cook Street, where pickup and drop off for residents of the tower, again flanked by much landscaping and the continuation of the canopy trees. This image illustrates the corner of Cook Street and Ala Moana Boulevard, where the porte-cochere is located and is the main entrance to the residential tower lobby. This corner will be activated by much landscaping, art sculptures, and integrated outdoor seating. This image illustrates the raised deck platform fronting the proposed grocery store that will support the activation of the park-to-park connection by providing seating under shaded areas for the customer and our visitors' use and comfort and use. Also note that the lush landscaping along the pedestrian walkway with the large canopy trees offering much shade from the sun and a park-like setting. This image is from across of Cook Street, illustrating the large canopy trees along the pedestrian walkway. The pedestrian walkway along Oahe Street occurs on the raised deck, continuing from Cook Street side of the property. Commercial tenant spaces alongside the raised walkway offers visitors an ease of access to each retail space, allowing clear views into each tenant space. The commercial retail along Oahe Street is a continuation of the retail from the adjacent site Salt, located on the other side of the property. Tables and chairs along the edge may be located for customers pending the type of retail fronting this street side. Landscaping will be located between the raised deck and street curb, allowing adequate space for shade trees. This image illustrates the pedestrian walkway along Oahe Street that occurs alongside the retail stores and provides a continuous pathway towards Salt. Coral Street is the access to the back of house loading areas along the parking for all residents, guests, and commercial tenants. There are two separate loading areas, one for the commercial tenants and the other for the residents, that are separated by a speed ramp from the street where all off-street parking in the podium is accessed. The loading area is shielded as much as possible with exterior walls to minimize views into these active loading areas. There is also a proposed corner rounding and bulb out at the corner of Coral and Oahe Street that will encourage drivers to slow down. This image is of Coral Street, illustrating the access to the back of house activities and access to parking. This concludes our slide presentation. Next, we would like to share with you a short video of the project site, ending with a view onto the amenity deck. This is a corner of Ala Moana and Cook Street where the portico sheer to the tower is located. This is along Cook Street. This is the corner of Cook and Oahe. Note that the parking screen has not yet been finalized, but will be some type of naturally ventilated screening. The view of the tower. This is along Oahe Street with the retail along the street frontage, a continuation of retail from Salt located to the road. This is along Coral Street, the back of house access. This is the corner of Coral and Ala Moana. This is along Ala Moana Boulevard. That's our sign wall at the corner under the portico sheer. Next will be a view of the amenity deck located on the 6th floor. This is the pool and the barbecue pavilions. The open yard. and multipurpose rooms facing Ala Moana Boulevard. And this is the fitness center. Behind it is the pickleball court, and behind that is the dog park. And that concludes our video presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any members, Executive Director, not more, is there any questions for this witness? Not, thank you very much. Why don't we go ahead, Laura, do you need a break? 10-minute break?
Thank you, but no, it's fine. We can continue.
Okay, why don't we go ahead and continue then? Let me call your next witness.
Mr. Chair. The applicant, will rest on the written testimony for our remaining witnesses, but they are available for questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Since the notice of public hearing was published on Wednesday, August 2nd, 2023, and written testimony invited, as of today, HCDA has received 15 written testimonies, all 15 in favor and 0 in opposition. We will now take verbal public testimony. We will now hear testimony from the public. Speakers will be called upon to testify in the order in which they have signed up. Public testimony will be limited to 3 minutes each, since each authority member has or will be given a copy of your written testimony that you might have provided. Please refrain from reading your written testimony and instead summarize your comments in the time that you have available. When you are called, please clearly state your name and any organization or affiliation that you'll be representing. If you're attending virtually, please unmute your microphone and turn on your video. The first person to sign up is Chris Delaney of Pacific Resource Partnership. Chris?
Aloha Chair and board members, Chris Delaney with Pacific Resource Partnership. We're in strong support of the project. We represent the Carpenters Union as well as 240 contractors in the state of Hawaii. In 2021, we were before HCDA supporting amendments to the Kamehameha Schools Master Plan, which plans to increase the number of residential units that are available to help ease the current housing shortage in the state of Hawaii and the city and county of Honolulu. Approximately 50,000 total housing units are needed statewide during the 2020-2025 period, of which 22,168 units are needed for the city and county of Honolulu. This is a Hawaii Housing Planning Study 2019. Amendments to the master plan allows Kamehameha Schools to increase the number of housing units within the master plan areas, somewhere between 2,000 to 3,000 units. Today, we have a project that will help Kamehameha Schools achieve its goal of creating much needed housing for Oahu's residents by creating 294 new homes. Additionally, this project will help activate and transform the Kaka'ako community into a more livable and walkable community with nearly 42,000 square feet of commercial space on the ground floor, including a space for a much needed grocery tenant to improve food access in the area. And tree-lined sidewalks and a landscape promenade will connect public parks in the area, improving the pedestrian experience. Furthermore, the project will help to stimulate Hawaii's economy, delivering economic benefits and job opportunities for our residents. The project is projected to contribute 500 million economic impact, 237 net new jobs, and 30 million in total state and federal tax contributions. Our members will also have an opportunity to build this project, which will give them an opportunity to earn a living wage with benefits to help them support a family and afford the high cost of living in Hawaii. Thank you for this opportunity to testify.
Thank you. The next public testimony is from Gino Sequena, Executive Director, Hawaii Building and Construction Trade Council. Gino?
Aloha Chair, Gino Sequena, Executive Director of the Hawaii Building and Construction Trades Council. You guys have my written testimony and in strong support of this project, and I'll just stand on that testimony. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else present that wishes to testify? If there's no further public testimony, I'll proceed with closing today's proceedings. Council, do you have anything else to add?
Thank you, Chair. No, we have nothing more to add.
Now the authority would like to close the record for the hearing unless the counsel for the applicant would like to request the record get open.
Thank you. We request that the record be kept open for tomorrow's modification hearing.
The authority will keep the record open to allow the applicant to submit additional material into record.
Thank you.
If there's no further comments or discussion, then in behalf of the HCDA authority members and its staff, I thank you for your attendance. As mentioned earlier, in conjunction with this development permit application, the applicant is requesting modifications from the vested Kaka'ako Maka area rules and will be making a presentation for those modifications tomorrow, Thursday, September 7th, 2023 at 9:00 a.m. virtually on Zoom, and the physical meeting site will also be available. This public hearing on the applicant's presentation of its projects now stand adjourned, and it is 11:10. Thank you.